everyone for coming out. It's an honor to be here for the first time in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and I'm sure it won't be the last time. A lot to discuss, so I want to get right down to it. I heard about the situation that transpired in your city a couple nights ago up in Charlotte. Brother murdered by the police, and the so-called hung jury let him go free. In case you're wondering why this is happening, why we keep getting a major police murder of an unarmed black man once every 6 weeks or so, not to mention all the ones we don't hear about, and including black women like our sister Sandra Bland. The reason we're getting these things is because white folk have looked around and they said, if we go back to being the way we used to be, if we stop ducking and hiding and pretending that America is multicultural, if we change back in the covert racism for the overt racism, what, if anything, are black people going to do about it? The reason the overt racism is back, the reason the aggressive Jim Crow is in your face, simply answered, is white folk no longer have a reason to hide from you. I mean, let's look at it. You haven't had a major mass protest movement since 1968. Dr. King, whom some of you may criticize and deride for his shortcomings, led the last major mass protest movement by black folk in this country. 68, 78, 88, 98, 08, we're almost at 18. 47 years without black folk in any major form standing up together, putting the petty differences to the side to fight for change. You haven't had it. I'm 41 years old. It's never happened in my lifetime. If you're younger than me, it hasn't happened in your lifetime. If you're a little older than me, it hasn't even happened in your lifetime. Black people have grown politically lazy. And because we have grown politically lazy, white folk have rebirthed racism. In psychology, we study behavior. In psychology, we study why people do what they do and what motivates them to keep on doing it. And one of the first laws of psychology is that all behavior is a function of the consequences that follow. All behavior is a function of what you do about it after they're done doing it. So what do we do after Trayvon? What do we do after Sean Bell? What do we do after Michael Brown? What do we do after Eric Garner? We protest for a day or two, maybe 7. We go on an uprise for about a month, like in Ferguson. And that's it. You have a very bad reputation in this country of talking big and bad and doing nothing about it. That's your reputation. If you don't like it, you need to change it. If I am the face of white supremacy, I know I can do anything to black folk I want as long as I'm willing to have them criticize me for 72 hours. And then after that, life goes on as normal. And you know why we do that? Why are we such a reactionarily based people? Chinese are not reactionary, they're pro-action. They put stuff in place before things happen. Arabs, East Indians, Europeans, Anglo-Saxons, they put things in place before stuff happens. We're the only non-white group in this country that don't do nothing for ourselves until something is done against us. You do nothing unless something is done to you. Why? Why are we so reactionary and not pro-action? Because the amount of love and commitment necessary to be a pro-actionary people, you ain't got that. You only react when you're made to feel uncomfortable, when you're scared of something, when you feel threatened, and then you do. Why not put stuff in place before stuff like this happens? Because you don't love yourself enough to do that. You ain't got that kind of love. That's why church is so popular. Because you'd rather call yourself a Christian than an African. That's why the mosque is so popular. Because you'd rather call yourself a Muslim than an African. That's why the fraternities are so popular. You'd rather be a Q or a Kappa than being an African. That's why the sororities are so popular. You'd rather be a doctor or an AKA. Call me anything you want, but don't call me black. But people you know don't have any respect for themselves and get respect from other people. Marcus Garvey said that a race without authority, a race that controls nothing, a race that produces nothing, is a race without respect. What do you produce? What do you distribute? What do you control? Rock Hill, Charlotte, Brooklyn, Philly, Houston, Los Angeles, Baltimore, DC, Tulsa, Denver. What do we produce? What do we distribute? What do we control? We are a race of consumers. You are at the bottom of the food chain. A consumer is equivalent to the most defenseless animal in the wild kingdom. You exist until people decide they no longer want you to exist. Most of you are being suffocated with this All Lives Matter movement. The brother talked about a white woman with a bag of Black Lives Matter wristbands. You know why she can do that? Because black folk have made everybody else feel like they could be a part of your struggle. It ain't the white girl's fault, it's your fault. Why do white folk feel they can walk into a black church and participate in Bible study and then open fire and reload 5 times in Charleston? Dylan Roof was comfortable because you said, my God, don't see no color. And it's a shame because he took all them lives out. 5 mothers he murdered in there. And did you notice how he was treated by the police? Not only was he allowed to get the hell out of Dodge, they could have locked that boy down before he even left Charleston. They let him get to safe territory. And then when they picked him up, they put a police vest on him to make sure no black folk would take a shot at Dylan. Because when you understand white supremacy, you recognize that Dylan Roof was a national hero. Now, when that brother did the same thing a couple of days in Virginia, the reaction was totally different. He got fired from one of the news media outlets unjustifiably. He went back and he said he was partially motivated by the unmerciful police killings. But look at how they treated him and look at how they treated Dylan. They even took Dylan to Burger King for lunch. Got that boy a mixed sandwich for killing black folks. See, black folk have let everybody exploit, participate, and own your culture. You ain't got nothing that is unashamedly and unapologetically African that everybody know they better keep their hands off. You ain't got nothing like that. European Jews got it. You don't see McDonald's exploiting Hanukkah season like they exploit Kwanzaa season. Every Kwanzaa, every McDonald's, they got the Kwanzaa hat, 7 candles burning. They put 7 French fries for the candles and burn the fries down. Everybody pimp Black History Month. In fact, Macy's makes more money off Black history products than all the black bookstores put together in America. Because you said black history for everybody. We've been taught that being racially exclusive is a sin. We've been taught that loving yourself first is a sin. We've been taught that looking out for black to the exclusion of everything else is a sin. But if being black and looking out for blackness is a sin, and by loving everybody else is a virtue, then my God must by default be a God of white supremacy. Because only a God of white supremacy would tell you to love everybody else before you love yourself. We said Black Lives Matter, they said all lives matter. We said black people under attack, they said gays and lesbians are under attack. We said black babies are dying by the thousands, black women with the highest infant mortality rate in the developed world. They said, well, we got dogs and cats that's dying. You notice whenever a black issue is brought up, they redirect the focus to somebody else's issue. You know why? Because post-civil rights, see, during the civil rights movement, your issue was the priority. Because you made it the priority. You wouldn't ride the buses, you boycotted the supermarkets, you challenged the police commissioners, you laid down in the streets, you took on the water hoses. They could not ignore you because you made yourself relevant. After civil rights, they said no more. The black issue must never be the priority again. Whenever black folks come up with something, we must replace it. That's exactly why in 1974, they legalized homosexuality. We're going to make the homosexual movement the priority and downgrade the black movement. And some of you foolishly ran to the defense of the LGBT, failing to realize that that was a blockade. Black people not fighting for the right to have sex. Black people not fighting for the right to engage in a behavior. Black people are fighting for the right to breathe and exist as a black person. Don't you confuse being with behavior. Y'all love fighting for other people. In fact, if you have an all-black meeting, black folk will come in, look around, and if they don't see anything white, they'll leave. Why are we the only people in here? It ain't always about us. Why can't you be your own priority once in a while? Because you hate yourself. And by saying it ain't just about black, that's a nice way of saying I don't give a damn about black. They better wake up to this multiculturalism. My young feminist sisters, wake up. Don't let that white feminist movement use you as another weapon against black men, because that's what it's about. Talking about we got to fight and destroy the black male patriarchy. What the hell does black male control? Yes, Dr. Umar is a leader of the Pan-African patriarchy. We gotta crush that in the name of equality for the sisters. I believe in equality for the sisters, but don't make me your enemy. I understood the white woman when she fought the white male. She had good reasons. The white feminist movement was based on understandable reasons. The white man didn't let the white woman work. The white man didn't let the white woman wear pants. The white man didn't let the white woman go to college. The white man didn't let the white woman vote. The white man didn't let the white woman go to church if she was on her cycle. The white man dominated her life because he dominated the society. But black woman, let me ask you a question. What black man ever told your ass you can't get a job? If y'all don't stop this feminist garbage, y'all done lost your mind. Black woman, let me ask you a question. What black man was ever able to tell you what you can wear outside your house? Get the hell out of here. We ain't never controlled no black woman. We don't control you now. talking about you gotta crush the patriarchy and half the black men can't even find a damn job. What patriarchy we got? Stop trying to approximate your struggle with the white woman's struggle. We fight side by side, the man and the woman together. We don't do all that. I didn't say that there's not some sexism in the black revolutionary struggle.
There is.
Yes, sister, there is. And you have a right to check the brothers on that sexism. But don't confuse sexism and attitude and the behavior with patriarchal, the ability to control. Those are two different things. To have a patriarchy means you control the community, you control the institutions. The black man owns nothing. Yes, we have a very big domestic violence issue in the black community. I know it as a psychologist, I know it as a principal, I know it as a therapist. Black women being beat by their men. Something we need to do about that, black men. And I recommend that in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and in Charlotte and Point Yonder, we need to organize a ski mask club in every community. So we can purge those ungrateful Negroes out of our neighborhoods. Let me tell you how the ski mask club operates. Every Sunday after church, they get together, they dress in all black and put the ski mask on. And they get a list of names, brothers and sisters. Since y'all want to be equal, brothers and sisters who've been doing wrong in the hood, and the ski mask club will go pick their ass up on the corner. And by the time they get done with them, they will never be out of line again. That's how the Italian mafia deal with their ingrates. That's how the Arabs deal with their ingrates. Betray the Arab people. You're not putting you through no Arab consciousness class to raise your knowledge yourself. Then go off with your damn head, Mom! White man put you in jail for the rest of your life. Chinese will burn your ass alive. You got to have accountability systems. We need the same thing. You may laugh about the ski mask club, but I guarantee you, if you had a ski mask club in Rock Hill, the pastors who ain't doing right, they'll start to do right. The politicians who ain't fighting, they'll start to fight. The brothers who put their hands on black women, you won't know it again. What can be scarier than knowing I'm liable to be picked up at any second by a group of brothers with masks on? You need accountability. So sister, speak out against that. Speak out against the fact that you're not giving leadership opportunities in many of the black grassroots organizations. Speak out against the fact that they only want you to be secretaries and cooks and chefs and cookie bakers, and you know what cookies are, hallelujah. Speak out against that, black woman. But don't go to the white woman and tell her to come and help you destroy a black man who already on bended knee. Each other. We family. But the problem with being family is you got to learn how to humble yourself sometimes. With family, you got to learn how to forgive even if they don't deserve it sometimes. With family, you got to sacrifice your own ego for the greater good of the people. You know that's what a community is, right? Community, common unity means that the people in this neighborhood are willing to forgo their personal agenda for what's in the best interest of the all. In African culture, the lowest level of identity is the family. In most cultures, there's no word for the individual in the Eurocentric sense. You exist because you're part of a family. That's where the last name came from. The last name is an African concept. The purpose of the last name was to recognize all those with the same last name as being part of the same human body. But look at us now. Selfish as hell. Black people can't stand black people. Black women competing with black women like it's going out of style. My God, I think the sisterhood worse than the brotherhood. Right. Black men in jail, black men dying through fratricide, black men with alternative lifestyles got the sisters with so few to choose between. And so because of that, the sisters who do have a king are hyper-vigilant for other women who might want to snatch you. So you come to a Dr. Umar lecture, the first thing a woman does with a king is she scans the audience for potential competition. Y'all know what I'm talking about because I see y'all doing it right here tonight. She walked right in the room and she put on her spidey senses. Make sure his body type not in here. Make sure that complexion not in here. Make sure she ain't got that shea butter he like to smell. You gotta do something about that situation because it's destroying sisterhood. And if it's one thing black women need to do here in South Carolina is y'all need to come together and form sister circles and begin to heal each other through mutual support and aid. That's the way we used to do it. And it shouldn't be in the church because not everybody Christian. It shouldn't be in the mosque, not everybody Muslim. It might can't even be in a traditional African community because not everybody is voodoo, Ifa, Santeria, and Kemetic science, Dogon. Not everybody does that either. We scared of our ancient spirituality because the white man told us it was of the devil. So whenever black folks say they call the ancestors, you think we worship ancestors? But your ass been calling on George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson and shit, and ain't nobody said nothing wrong about that. I think Dr. Umar worshiped his ancestors, but your son pledges allegiance to white supremacy 180 days a year for 12 years, and you don't say nothing about that. But he can't learn no ancestral veneration. Let me tell you about ancestral veneration. Ancestral veneration is based on the African principle that between you and Almighty God is a DNA double helix chain of ancestors. And in order to get back to the Most High, you must first be on a good accord with your ancestors. And the reason why a lot of you don't get what the hell you pray for is because you ain't living right according to your ancestors. And you don't go to God unless you go to the ancestors because you come from God through your ancestors. And the beauty of African spirituality, you can still be a Christian and deal with your ancestors. In Africa, in South Africa, it's Christians there. Ghana, Nigeria, it's Christians there. But they still do their ancestral work. No religion won't take them away from culture. In Senegal, there's Muslims there. Nigeria, there's Muslims there, but they still do their ancestral work because nothing's going to take them away from culture. And your problem is you will give up 2 million years of African culture for 2,000 years of Jesus. You'll give away 2 million years of African culture for 1,500 years of Muhammad. Imagine somebody coming to you saying, give me $2 million for 1,500. Does it make any sense? The Bible does not contain all the wisdom of your ancestors that you need to know in order to apply to your life to fix your situation. The Quran is a beautiful book, but the 114 chapters of Muhammad are nothing compared to the canon of information that's been passed down from generation to generation for the past 2 million years. You can put it next to it, but don't you ever put it in front of it. Miseducation, special ed, ADHD wars against black boys. At the outset, I must tell you that when I speak for the boys, I speak for the girls. Everything they do to our boys, they do to our girls. I'm not leaving the girls out. The reason I focus on the boys is because the war against black boys is 50 times worse than the war against black girls. Special ed, 85% male. ADHD, 85% male. Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, Strattera, Cycler, Metadate, Paxil, Zoloft, Risperdal, 85% male. School expulsion and suspension, 75% male. I'm not leaving out our girls. I have 2 daughters myself, but I recognize that the man is the first line of defense for a community. And if you want to kill the community, you must kill the child as a boy before he becomes an adult. That's all I'm saying. The white man got a rite of passage for black boys in Rock Hill. Yes, he does. Charleston, Charlotte, Newbury, he got a rite of passage. You don't. You too lazy, but he got one. 6 steps. The first one is miseducation. From preschool to the 3rd grade, I'm gonna miseducate this black ass. I'm gonna make sure this little black boy does not have the same foundation my son got in the suburbs, because I know if he ain't got it, and that by the time he hit that 3rd, they're not gonna get it to his ass by the time he graduates from the 12th. I'm gonna destabilize him right from the beginning. Preschool to 3rd grade. When he get to 3rd grade, I'm gonna miseducate his little black behind. I'm gonna teach him black folks was nothing and white folks were everything. And I don't have to do this by saying black folks are nothing and white folks are everything. All I got to do is show them that white folks were everything and show them nothing about black folk, and it's the same message. And then from 5th grade to 7th grade, I'm gonna special educate his little black behind. I'm gonna call his parent in here, because I know she's going to sign off the paperwork, because black folks think white folks know everything. I said black folks think white folks know everything. So I'm going to call Miss Shaquita, can you come in and talk to me about Raheem next day? Raheem is in the 5th grade and he's still reading on the 2nd grade level. Miss Shaquita, I would like to have our school psychologist evaluate Raheem and see if he has a reading disability. And you pull out your ink pen and you sign the paperwork. Which is very ironic, because y'all love to tell me what the schools is doing to your children. How about you start telling Dr. Umar what you yourselves are doing to your children? I cannot evaluate a child without your permission. I cannot give an IQ test without your John Hancock. He cannot be seen by the psychiatrist unless you take him. He cannot be given an IEP unless your signature is on that placement paperwork. So if we got 2 million black kids in special ed, we got 2 million black parents who signed their damn life away. That's right, you started this, not white folks. You did this. Putting your son on an auction block of special ed to be sold to the highest disability. You could bring that same boy to Dr. Umar Johnson. 5th grade, reading on the 2nd grade level. Oh, this is easy to explain. First of all, bring the teacher in here. Miss Zerbinski, how are you this afternoon? Miss Zerbinski, you told Miss Shaquita that you think Raheem has a reading disability and you would like her to sign his paperwork so the school psychologist can test him to see if he qualifies for special services. That's correct, Dr. Johnson. What grade level is he reading on? He's reading on the 2nd grade level. He's 3 grades below instruction. Miss Zerbinski, can you tell me what is the average instructional level of the students in your class? Oh, well, the average instructional level of the students in my class is 3rd grade. So, Miss Zerbinski, if the average instructional level of all the kids is at least 2 grades below where they are, why the hell are you singling Raheem out for special ed? But I'm not done. Can I see Raheem's attendance last school year when he was in the 4th grade? I see he's been suspended 25 times. That's 5 weeks of instruction. Isn't it quite normal for a child to lose and not be able to keep up with his classmates if he's being excluded from learning? How many times did you send him to the principal's office, not even including suspension? How can a boy learn if he's never allowed to be in class long enough to? Miss Zerbinski, I was told that you was out on maternity leave the first half of the school year. You were not even here from September to January. You just came back after having a big head, little ugly white baby. God forgive me. God forgive y'all for laughing at the white boy. Stop it! September to January when you came back. So the boy is being given inconsistent instruction. And when he was in second grade, guess what? That white teacher that y'all had teaching Raheem, she was fresh out of college. Rock Hill State University. And can barely read her damn self. In other words, Miss Levinsky, I am not evaluating this black boy because his problem is not him, it's y'all. Furthermore, you know what his diagnosis is? It ain't LD, learning disabled. It's lazy as hell, Negro child disability. A lot of your children don't care about school, don't care to learn. They go there to play and socialize because you let your sons grow up thinking he's going to be an NFL superstar or an NBA superstar. Some of you black fathers are trifling as hell. You don't even care how your sons do in school. You only care how he does on a basketball court. Well, let me ask you a question. How many NFL superstars came from Rock Hill? How many NBA superstars? You can count them on one hand. It's no different for us in Philadelphia. We've had our Marvin Harrisons, and we've had our Bernard Hopkins, and our Rasheed Wallaces, and our Kobe Bryants. But they don't come every day. That's once in a while. A black boy is likely to be going professional in something other than athletics. And if you don't teach him that, he's likely to go professional into this incarceration system. Parents, the learning disability is not a fact, it is an opinion. Parents, ADHD is not a fact, it is an opinion. Parents, conduct disorder is not a fact, it's an opinion. Parents, mild mental retardation is not a fact, it is an opinion. I need y'all to understand when I say this. When I evaluate your child, when he comes into my office and I sit that boy down, I give him an IQ test, achievement test, visual motor test, adaptive behavior test, psychological test, emotional screening. And all these tests I give your son or daughter. When I score them up, they don't give me a diagnosis. They give me a number. I get a score. And then it's me, the psychologist, who must take the profile of scores and determine whether I think. I didn't say I know a damn thing. I said whether I think these numbers are suggestive that your son may have a learning disability. Most of our kids simply ain't been taught in the first damn place. They were never taught how to read. They were never taught how to write. They were never taught how to count. And in many of your households, you don't even reinforce academics. How many of you make your kids sit down at least an hour a night and read with the cell phone and the TV and the radio and the internet off? How many of you check homework on a regular basis? How many of you do drive-bys at your child's school? You know what a drive-by is, right? Not the kind they do in Compton, but a drive-by is when a parent pops up on a child to make sure you're doing what the hell you're supposed to be doing in that classroom. You got to do drive-bys. Even when your child go to college, you should be doing drive-bys. You mean to tell me you sent Shaquita little hot ass to UCLA on $20,000 of your loan money? And you know that little girl thirsty? You better do some damn drive-bys before she come home for some triplets for Thanksgiving. My father used to do drive-bys on me. Millersville University, I'll never forget, he just popped up whenever he felt like it. One time he popped up, my girlfriend was in the room with me. I said, damn, I'm gonna have to hide you in the closet. Get in the closet. But that's how you keep your children honest. But parents, too many of you are buying your children things that take them away from academics. Your son got an iPod, an Xbox, a tablet, a cell phone, a computer, but there's not a damn dictionary nowhere in the house. Your daughter got a laptop, a tablet, a cell phone, video game, but there's not a set of encyclopedia nowhere in the damn house. Your kindergartner got all the remote control cars and all the transformers and all the white toys. And not a thesaurus in the house. I think prisoners are being made in the black house, not the white school. Your house is a waiting institution for the jail cell. Look at how you run that damn house. Ain't no academics going on in there. Some of your children go to sleep when the hell they feel like going to sleep. And some of you ain't got no discipline over them kids whatsoever. So the minute you go to sleep, they wake up out the bed. They get back on the video game. I know because they tell me in school, boy coming in with bags down to his teeth. What the hell was you doing last night, drinking? Doc, Grand Theft Auto had me up. If you know your kids don't listen to you, take them video games out their room. And why don't your child listen to you in the first place? I'll tell you why. I'm gonna pick on my mothers for a minute because I love y'all. And it's not fair that some of you have to raise boys on your own. My heart goes out for all the single moms because you are doing a good job and I want to thank you for it. People love to blame you for shit, but if it wasn't for you, how much worse of a situation would we be in? So I want to give a shout out to all the single moms and single grandmoms, and I want to shout out my single fathers out there and single grandfathers out there. But when you are the single parent of an opposite sex child, when you are the single parent of an opposite sex child, you have to be very, very careful to make sure you don't become an enabler of bad behavior. Fathers got a special relationship with their daughters, but fathers, it shouldn't be so special that you spoil her ass rotten and no man gonna want her when she older. Mothers got a special relationship with their sons, but don't spoil that boy so rotten that he'll be no good to somebody else's daughter when he grows up. The reason why children listen to their fathers more than they listen to their mothers is because mothers are not as consistent with the discipline as fathers are. It's not because you're a female. It's because you would rather have a conversation than give out a consequence. It's because you would rather negotiate the terms and shit instead of just telling them what it's going to be. Mothers, I need y'all to stop being so democratic and become more dictatorial like daddy. Stop giving your son 2 or 3 times to make the same mistake. White man, give him once. During Reconstruction, black folks used to beat the heck out of their black children. White folks said, is this child abuse? Black folks said, because what I'm doing is nothing compared to what your racist ass is going to do if he does the same thing outside my house. A lot of psychologists are on this new thing, don't spank your child. A child should never be touched. And that's why white kids run the hell over their parents and tell them where the hell to go. We don't play them games in our culture. We believe in respect for elders and adults and definitely parents. White kids tell their mom, get out of my face. I'm done with you. We don't do that in the black community. You get your ass whipped for that type of behavior. And I ain't got a problem with an ass whipping. Ain't nothing better than a good old-fashioned ass whipping to put his life back in perspective. But I do want to clarify that I don't think a child should be spanked every single time they do something wrong. That's child abuse. Let me give you the difference. I think a spanking is necessary and warranted when your child does something that was so significant that it could have affected his life or her life or someone else. Let me give you an example. You find out your daughter having premarital sex. If I find out my daughter having premarital sex, her mother might got to give her a spanking, because I don't think fathers should spank daughters at all. Her mother might got to give her a spanking, not because she had sex, but she was unprotected. You could have got herpes, you could have got pregnant, you could have got AIDS, you could have messed your whole life up off of what you did. It ain't the sex, that's a conversation, but it was the way you went about it. Your son got caught driving in a stolen car, he getting his ass whipped. Because first of all, that's grand theft auto. That's a felony, son. Not to mention, you ain't got no license. Not to mention, y'all could have got into an accident because you really don't know how to drive, and you could have took your life for somebody else's life. Your little third grader, he was playing with matches in the kitchen, almost burned the kitchen down. Whip his ass! Because grandma live on the second and third floor, and grandma in a wheelchair, and grandma can't get down them steps as fast. And God forbid if that fire started in that kitchen, grandmama dead. So I'm gonna whip your ass because I need you to remember this. That's why we do spankings. The purpose of discipline and spanking in a black community is to teach your child discipline. And what is Dr. Umar's definition of discipline? The ability to do what you gotta do when it needs to be done, whether you like it or not. You here listening to me today, but you told your daughter to get them dishes done. Is she doing the dishes, or is she watching reruns to Empire's last season? Your son's supposed to be working on some homework that the teacher said he didn't finish last week. Is he doing that? Or is he out on the steps smoking marijuana with people you told him he couldn't hang with no more? See, the problem with teaching discipline to black children is you can't teach what you don't have. Your children are nothing but mirrors of you. Listen, as a school principal, I can look at a child and I know what parents they came from. If the daughter come in there with a super mini skirt in the 5th grade, lipstick on, high heels in the 5th, I know what mama looking like. She coming in there like Nene from Housewives. If the boy coming in there like he a thug, swagged out, want to fight, want to beat people up, I know Pops is gangster. Because the children are nothing but us, and you got a nerve to be asking me what's wrong with my kids. Your ass is what's wrong with your children. They came from you. Stop blaming it on Jay-Z. Stop blaming it on 50 Cent. They came from you. If you telling me Lil Wayne got your son messed up, I want to know why in the hell you even give him access to Lil Wayne. If Empire and Scandal got your kids messed up, why they even got access to them? Ain't no law that make your kids watch TV. Ain't no law that make them listen to the radio. Ain't no law that make them get on that internet and surf some of them sites they ain't got no business looking at. Put controls on your TV. Put controls on your internet. I can't tell you how many black mothers that contacted me the past 3 months complaining about their son not only looking at pornography on the internet, but gay pornography in the 3rd and 4th grade. Gay pornography is the new thing in elementary school. And you better be up on your children. They got a tablet, you better go to that history box and see what the hell they've been scrolling on that history. You better get one of them programs where they allow you to see everything your child is looking at when they're looking at it. You gotta talk to your kids now, because our children today are the first generation of black kids who have to decide whether they want to be male or female. You and I didn't have that decision. When I was growing up in North Philly, I was a boy, I was a man, that was it. There was no conversation. When you was growing up in Rock Hill, you was a female, you was a lady, you was a girl, a queen in the making. There was no conversations about, do you want to opt out of this? Now they got an opt-out box and shit on your birth certificate. You were born in male, but check here. And I don't care what side of the LBGT argument you on, I think we can all agree that kindergarten and 1st grade is not the year to be teaching my kids about no damn sex and all alternative lifestyle. Empire. Damn. Lucius the Lion. Queen Cookie. Hakeem, Jamal, and Andre. Hakeem, hyper-masculine. Jamal, hyper-feminine. Andre, bourgeoisie. Lucius, egotistical, power-hungry male. Cookie, no different than Lucius. You have 4 men who star in this miniseries. Lucius, Hakeem, Andre, and Jamal. 4 men, same series. Can you please tell me why none of the 4 leading men in this #1 show in America right now, 4 black men, and not one of them has a positive relationship with a black woman at all in the whole damn show? Have you noticed that? Andre, he in love with white women. Jamal, he in love with white men. And Hakeem, women are only as good to him as he can use them. And Lucius don't care about no woman. You think this is an accident? This is by design. They're showing your sons right now. I don't care if you're a millionaire. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you got a Harvard education. I don't care if you want to be a rapper.